Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Werise Wellness Podcast. Today, we have Ritu Goyal with us. She is an eco travelpreneur and she's the founder of Ease India Travel, where she curates experiential travel with inclusion and compassion. Thank you, Ritu, for coming to our show today. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you for calling me Neetu. Thank you so much.
So, what is this eco travelpreneur, Ritu, if I may ask?
Um, so travelpreneur is a term that became very popular about 2 years ago. I think in the pandemic time. So entrepreneurs in the travel space are called travelpreneurs. I wanted to add the eco to it because it's a very big part of what we do as a company. We always see you can't force somebody, but we always, when we send out emails and when we welcome people to the trips that they take with us, we always tell them that we are gently making some suggestions so you can start, eco-friendly travel by its very nature is not friendly to the environment. Jet fuel and how much of pollution it causes, and the carbon footprint is really high. But we kind of gently, like I said, tell people to save water and how they can do that on a holiday without marring their experience. So this is what eco travelpreneur stands for.
Oh wow! And if I have to go to one of your curated, destinations, so what kind of experience can I expect? Sorry, this is a little off
uh
topic from wellness because
yeah.
that the whole program is around wellness. But I got so excited, listening to this that I really want to know. I mean, what kind of experience can I have as someone who is visiting for the first time through you?
So let's put it this way that we offer a lot of unknown destinations, and we also offer unknown experiences in known destinations. So what you can expect on a trip are hyper local experiences, going in depth into the place, because I feel that to uncover a place, you don't need to be ticking off sites from your bucket list or from your wish list. You should be able to understand the very soul of that place.
Yeah.
So interacting with the locals, experimenting with the cuisine. Even if you're a vegetarian, I'm a vegetarian. So, despite being a vegetarian, being able to eat the local cuisine, and so those kinds of in-depth experiences are what you would get on a trip if you come with us. And all the itineraries that we build are based on my own travels. So I don't sell destinations that I have not been to. So I will never lift an itinerary off the internet just to sell it. Which is why we have limited destinations, but we do the best we can in those destinations.
Travel is therapy, right? So I can
Oh, yes.
already imagine myself at a place where, I'm so disconnected and I'm just trying to connect with the nature when you started saying about that. And I'm like,
Yes.
oh, this is therapy.
Yes, it is. It definitely is therapeutic,
So
no
why
doubt.
this, Ritu, I mean, I feel that there is something that has been on your mind that you are so passionate about travel, you're so passionate about being eco-friendly. What is the connect? I mean, I'm not able to make that connect about your passion about this whole thing experience, and then somewhere you have yourself been. It seems like you're just so true to yourself.
Thank you.
But what
I try
always
to be.
makes Ritu so true to herself? What is the story behind it?
I That's a tough question for me to answer, and pretty unexpected question too. So I think prior to starting this company, I was a journalist for about 17 years. So the one thing that I've always tried to do is bring an element of passion, not I at the same time I also say that I always tell young entrepreneurs that passion is highly overrated, because when you start a company, at the end of the day, passion can only take you so far. But I think the reason why I'm continuing to do what I do despite the pitfalls, like COVID was a massive one for us, and despite the hurdles and the roadblocks, and there are so many challenges in our business, because I come from a family where, my parents were avid road trippers when they were young, when we were children. So I guess it is also that connect to, the whole adventure and the enthusiasm when it comes to travel, and, this whole idea of experiencing, because we never stopped ourselves from, experiencing, all the things that come along as part of the whole deal of travel. So I try to bring that into my business, and that's why there's so much of focus. It's a very customer centric business. We are very, very focused on our client, on our guest, and I feel that when somebody gives me the money to execute a holiday, I have to do the very best that I can. There is no, there's no way that we could do second best, or we could just say that, oh, we're not able to pull this off. So promises are made to be kept. So that's, so in a way, yeah. So yeah, I would like to say in a nutshell that passion is what is making me run the company. But beyond a point, passion is of no use. You have to, be very conscious of number crunching and a lot of other host of things to run a
And a lot of
successful, sustainable company.
self-regulation also, because this needs discipline.
Yes,
I
yes,
mean,
it needs a lot
you
of
must have set
discipline.
up so many processes. So tell me, I mean, so much work. How do you manage all this, and manage your physical well-being and mental well-being? Because this is a wellness podcast, I really want to ask this, because founders these days, I have realized, do not understand the value of managing their mental health as well, and that manifests as diseases in their physical body, which they come to know of very later in life. So now that you have seen so much in entrepreneurship, we would really love you to share, how do you manage all these things along with your mental health and physical health?
So Neetu, I was like any other new entrepreneur when I started the company. I was, I led a very lopsided lifestyle. I used to get too carried away. I was available 24 by 7 for, even for inquiries, and I would, literally be laboring away at the laptop. I had a small team, and steadily, of course, I built the team and I started delegating. But even while I was doing that, I somehow felt that, I had to be in control of a lot of things that were happening. Managed to along the way understand that we need to set processes, and we need to start delegating, and we need to separate ourselves from the entity which is your company. It could be your baby, but at the end of the day it is an entity. So we have to start doing that. But in the process of doing that, I was still not able to mentally disconnect myself 100% when it was required. And it led to some moments of burning out. It led to, like this. I remember just some 8 months after starting the company, I had to run away to an ashram near Pune where I live, for 2 days, and cut myself off from the world without internet, because I was like, there was just so much of chaos happening in my head, and there was so much of noise that I needed to get away. And of course, my children were much younger back then. 6 years ago, they were both teenagers. So also, all of that. So to answer your question, it's so essential for entrepreneurs to realize that while we advocate a work-life balance for members in our team, or in our company, and we're trying to build a corporate culture as a startup, we don't do it ourselves, because somewhere we feel that if we disconnect ourselves from our company for even a few moments in a day, or maybe a weekend, we are doing disservice to the company. So the first step for me was to realize that this is an entity, this is I, and I have my own needs, and I need to be able to strike a balance when it comes to my needs, my physical, mental, emotional needs. And I cannot be available 24 by 7 by 365. So that was the first step. It took me a long time to come to that state, but eventually I have. And I don't feel guilty anymore when I do not reply to messages, or I send gentle replies to some people and say that I'm sorry, but this is my weekend, it's very precious for me and my family. I'll see you on Monday, and I'll make sure I'll call you on Monday morning. So it has taken a lot of conscious, deliberate effort. It did not come naturally.
Yeah, because it seems, I mean, earlier you were, I mean, when you were saying that, I could actually visualize you that you were running after your clients, and then you realize that, to try to catch up with them, you actually burnt yourself out. But now that you are not running after someone, you're letting people come to you, and you've calmed down. This is the vision that I got about you when you were
Yeah.
saying that.
Yeah.
And it's
No,
so
I have calmed down a
beautiful.
lot.
Yes, you look so calm and peaceful. So, I mean, that's very commendable because not many people can disconnect. They don't understand the value of disconnecting. So yesterday only I was talking to someone else and I was like, how do you manage all this? You have just started a fund, and how do you manage all this? So he's like, I go for breaks. That is my only way to disconnect. I mean, I just disconnect from everything. Even if I can go out for 2 days, I just go out and I disconnect. And that's when I come back and, rejuvenate it. So that's his way of managing his mental and physical well-being. Mine is having a routine, a discipline. That works for me. Daily meditation works for me. Any spiritual practices that you follow, Ritu?
Uh, not as a compulsion. I do. So I wouldn't call it meditation exactly, but yes, I was learning from a guru and I do a bit of dhyan. But again, it's not a compulsion. So the one big learning for me that's been um, through this journey of entrepreneurship and being in an industry that works on weekends and that thrives on that pressure, in that pressure situation. One of the biggest learnings for me was that I needed to focus inwards and on myself, and only then my output would be better. So while I started taking it easy on the weekends, in the sense that I would give myself the leeway, and there is no hard and fast rule. So even I thrive in routine and I love routine, but at the same time, I am not bound or a slave to routine as well. So for example, like I've for the longest time I've started waking up very early in the morning. So I wake up in what is called the Brahma Muhurat, and that is something that happened to me when I started listening to my body. And my body said, my body is one that wants to get into bed by 7:30 in the evening. By 6, I'm done with my dinner, and by 7:38, by 8:30, I am in La La Land most of the times. I have just gone off into deep sleep and I wake up without an alarm. So sometimes it could be as early as 3:30, sometimes it could be 4:30, but I have not bound myself down to even an alarm system. So I wake up whenever my body is ready to wake up. When my eyes open and I see the time, and I'm like, okay, you know what? So be it. If I'm not sleepy, I do get up. I get out of the bed. So one thing I've done is follow my body, what my body wants, listening to it. And I've done the same thing with food. Eating what it wants rather than eating as per time and as per a regulation. And not I would say, like, not guilty about also, sometimes whatever binging or whatever you want to do. So the bottom line is that I'm following a routine, but I'm not a slave to it. So that has really helped me. So which is what has happened even in work. So I'm saying that I don't work weekends, but there are times when I take a Friday off and I will work on a Saturday. Or I take, based on what is the requirement of that current, of that week in particular. Like maybe my daughter wants to do something special on a Thursday. So I'll be like, okay, you know what? Let's take the Thursday off and I can work on a Saturday or I can work on a Sunday. So I have stopped binding myself down to a routine, which has really helped me mentally because I'm not feeling compelled. I'm not like looking at the clock all the time, looking at the watch all the time. I was doing that when I was a journalist, and really I think my kids have really put up with like a completely absentee mother, because I would be absent from their lives, from their routines. Even like attending their school events was like a compulsion. Oh my god, I have to like skip work and go, that kind of thing. So passion is useful because you feel so committed to your work, but at the same time passion can also be this, where you are mentally away from the space that you want to be in, which was happening to me with respect to my kids when they were younger. Now that they're older, I think I'm also more relaxed, but I've started to follow these couple of things. So yes, I do some dhyan in the mornings, but there is no hard and fast thing. There are days when I wake up and when I sit down to do dhyan, I'm already feeling sleepy. So then I get up from there and I go and do something else. I potter about in the kitchen maybe, and I go for a workout, or I go for a long walk, or I work out with a trainer. So I do that that is as per routine, of course, because he has timings that he needs to follow. But most of the times my morning waking up and the routine that I follow subsequent to that for about an hour and a half has got no particular fixated or fixed things to do. I listen to my body. There are days when I'm just listening to some, like a podcast in the morning, and I'm just doing my chores, or there are days when I'm doing dhyan, there are days when I'm not. So nothing is fixed. And I think that flexibility as a person, that is something I enjoy. I've always enjoyed being very flexible. Somehow, starting the company had bound me down in a way, because I had to, be available, go to office every morning as per timing, because the rest of the team would come and all of that. But yeah, I have kind of mellowed down even in that regard. And anyway, since the pandemic, we are all working from home. I'm still working from home. So I'm hoping to start an office space maybe in 6 months from now, maybe next financial year. But when that happens, obviously there will be a routine setting which will happen again. But for now, I'm enjoying this flexibility, and I'm enjoying, that I get time with myself as per, my requirements, as per what my body wants and is asking for. And of course, I'm sure you'll understand, I'm going to be 50 next year, and I had a hysterectomy 2 years ago. So I'm in menopause, and that really has impacted a lot of things in my life. And I think menopausal women need to take it easy a bit, and not put ourselves through the grind. You can't do it. If your body is telling you no, stop it, just stop it. Just listen to it.
Yeah, that's nature's way of telling you that you need to slow down, probably. And that's very, very spiritual of you to be able to listen to your body and actually acknowledging and respecting what it's telling you. So that's something. And with your experiences, of course, I mean, you don't look 50, definitely. But then with kind of experience you have, I think you have realized that you need to balance out your life, not just at work, but in your relationships also, in your health also, in your personal development also. So I think once you have figured that out, that has calmed you down. Because we all think that work is most important, but it is just a part of our life. It's not our whole life. The moment we start focusing on all other areas of our life, it becomes worth living. I mean, I have also realized this in last 2 years that I I mean, it's not just work that I'm living for. I have to live for my family, for myself. My health is my number one virtue. I mean, if I'm not healthy, I'll not be able to keep anybody around me happy and healthy, right? So these are the aspects that we need to look at, definitely. And once you started doing that, things started getting better for you. And this is the message we need to pass on to other founders who are struggling, feel stuck, and they are not able to figure out why it is not working for them. It's not working for you because you're focusing on only one thing, and that is why the other part are struggling and it's falling off. You need to focus on every area of your life and create a balance. Appropriate your time
Absolutely.
properly. Give time to everyone and everything. Look at things from different perspectives. Look at perspectives of other people. What does your wife want or a spouse want? What do your children want? What would you leave them with when you leave this world? Once you start looking at it, things from this point of view, then you know it's like, why am I doing this? This is not as important as I think it is. It is
Correct.
important. Work
And
is important, of course, but it cannot be our whole life.
correct. I think the problem is, Neetu, that, we've begun associating ambition with relentlessness. So if I'm ambitious, I have to be very dogged, and I have to be very relentless, and I have to be single minded, and I have to be, all of those adjectives that we associate with it. Like, you have to be dedicated, you have to be responsible, you have to be committed, you have to be this. And just because I am giving priority to one aspect of my life that deserves attention right now does not mean that I have given up the ambition to do something with my company that I started out with. And I think that is the moment that switch happens in your head is when you start balancing it. So,
Yes.
it's not like we don't have challenges. It's not like I don't have a challenge. I may look calm, but I do have a lot of challenges in my life. It's not like I have not come to a point or a juncture where I had felt that, my very, let's say, my persona as the owner of a company and as an entrepreneur is in jeopardy. It's not like that has not happened, because things happen in people's lives. You have so many personal challenges, you may have some other professional challenges, but you may even have mental health issues. You may find yourself at a juncture where you are questioning the reason why you're doing what you're doing, and is it really worth it. But just because you think that I'm going to be perceived as someone who has given up, who is not ambitious enough, or who is not able to pull it off, that I can't shift my focus to what is required, and I have to just continue doing this like this, which I feel is the wrong message that unfortunately has been given to us. I call, especially me, I'm a 70s kid. We are a sandwich generation, and especially women entrepreneurs, because we have so much to prove, we have so much to do. We cannot be perceived as failures if we have started something which has tried to break a glass ceiling. So we have so much of pressure on us, to not just for ourselves, but to women who are following you on social media, or are interacting with you, or are or are enamored by your journey, or so you sometimes you do feel all these pressures as well. You know like I came to a crossroad 2 months ago, where I was like, should I shut the company? Should I just continue doing what I'm doing? Because there was a lot of stuff happening in my personal life. But then I had to take 2 steps back and prioritize. And I did not work for almost 3 to 3.5 months because of this personal issue. But then, does that mean that the company doesn't mean what it means to me? Does that mean that I have lost my vision, my focus, or I am not dedicated to it, or I'm not committed to it? I think it is the contrary, that I am so dedicated and so committed that I've come back to it despite the pitfalls. So I think that we need to stop equating ambition with this whole thing of just being um, you know doggedly focused and not striking a balance.
Yeah.
And when you don't strike the balance, it is because you're constantly telling yourself. Even when I was always available to my team or to my clients or whatever, it was not that much to do with oh, they need me. It was to do with, I have an ambition. I want to take this company like to XYZ. This is my goal. This is my revenue goal, whatever, whatever. And if I miss this, then I will not be able to, I'll miss a good, like a good chance to make this much revenue for the company. And we all work on monthly targets, annual targets, 5 yearly targets, right? So you're constantly thinking of those things. I was constantly thinking of all that. But now there's so much that has happened in my personal life as well, that I've just decided that, what? It's not worth it. The company is also an entity, and if I have laid a good foundation, which means that I have been, I have a sustainable business model. I'm able to disrupt whenever need arises, and I'm able to deliver the goods that I promise. I think the company will sustain itself, and I have to stop obsessing over whether it will or it will not. And it's not like I'm devoid of ambition. I still have an ambition. I still know what I want to do with the company 5 years hence, but I'm not willing to do that at the cost of my health,
Anymore.
mental, physical, and emotional. Not anymore. So
Because
I've
it's not
maybe this
sustainable.
it is not
It's
sustainable.
not
And
sustainable.
there have been times when I've been told, 2019ish, before COVID hit, I was not looking for funding, but I would get a lot of interest from VCs because they found the business model to be something that they could possibly invest in. And I was always told that single founder startups don't get funded because single founders, I mean, we are under so much pressure. And they're right. We
Yeah,
are so under so much pressure,
yeah,
but it is up to us to be able to strike that balance.
yeah.
So possibly that the goal I had set for myself, which was like a 10-year goal, has now become a 12-year-old goal. Maybe I'll achieve it in 12 years instead of 10, but I will be a happy, hale, hearty, healthy person to be able to reach there. I'm not going to be like, someone who is on BP medication or, diabetic or whatever, and other, of course, other mental health issues. So that's a call you have to take, when you are heading a company.
Absolutely. I think a lot of founders will find insight in this. And it's not saying that, you do not be ambitious, do not go after your,
Correct.
vision. Do that, but strike a balance. I think that's the whole crux of this episode, that we need to strike a balance as founders and take care of not just our work, but also our physical, mental well being, our relationships, and everything else that makes us happy, right? So, why not?
Yes, absolutely. And it could be anything. There is no one size fits all. What works for you may not
What
work for
works for
me, and
you?
what works for me may not work for my friend. But whatever, you have to find that thing that works for you. For me, like I said, waking up in the morning works for me. There are people for whom, exercising works. I know other founders of, startups for whom, like a cycling expedition works better. Like you mentioned, someone you interviewed yesterday who said that, taking a break works for them. So it could be anything. It could be anything, even, spending time with your family, with your parents, with your children, with, your spouse. It could be anything. So you have to find what works for you. But essentially, we have to start realizing the value of, being a productive and I think a very happy part of your own company mentally, and the ultimate outcome which we are all waiting, which we all hope for, which is, to hit the good times.
Hit the good times, yes. Thank you so much, Ritu, for that. And with that, we'll bring this to a close. Thank you so much for your insights. And founders, please take insights from people who have been in the business for a very long time. Business is compulsory, but please take care of your mental and physical well being as well, and your relationships too. Thank you so much, Ritu. Thank you so much for coming today for the show.
Thank you so much, Neetu. It was wonderful. Thanks.